What will we do with this moment? How will we be remembered? Look at the opportunities before us.
This election really isn't about the left versus the right. It's about we the people choosing our government and the choice between freedom versus tyranny.
Nobody has a chronic disease burden like we have. Why are we allowing this to happen to our children? Ultimately, the only thing that will save our country is if we choose to love our kids more than we hate each other.
What is going on here is deeper than politics. It is deeply spiritual. We are being called to rise above the hatred and the fear and the evil.
We need to remember above and beyond that we must love our neighbors, that we must treat other people as we hope to be treated.
You want to be a rebel? You want to be a hippie? You want to stick it to the man? Show up on your college campus and try calling yourself a conservative.
America is going to reach heights that it has never seen before. The future is going to be amazing!
Do you want healthy children? Don't you want a president that's going to make America healthy again?
Come to you today as a former Democrat. I will be a first-time Trump voter tonight.
The people dreamed this country, and it's the people who are making America great again.
This is Fanfare with Barry Cunningham.
World is going to ring the bell here in about 20 seconds, an historic moment at the New York Stock Exchange as we get this opening bell rung by the President-elect, Donald Trump.
Come on over here.
All right.
Come on over here, Kramer.
Here we go.
Absolutely. What do you have to say to the American investor in this country?
Well, I think you're going to see some very good days ahead. A lot of incentives are going to be given. You saw yesterday a $1 billion investment that would give you very fast approvals. Nobody's come up with that one yet, although it seems pretty simple. I think you're going to have some great days ahead. We have to conclude a couple of bad wars that are going on. A lot of bad things are going on, but we'll get them done.
Do you think that we are in a situation where business will be far more embraced under you than currently?
Well, I don't want to really knock current, but I will tell you more than at any time, anywhere in the history of our country. Well, I think I've always said, to me, stock market is all of it, all of it together. It's very important. It's an honor to be here at New York Stock Exchange. I sort of joked that I actually bought the building across the street because the stock exchange was here. It's a big deal.
40, it's a nice building.
40 Wall Street. So, look, we're going to do things, I think, that haven't been really done before. We're going to be cutting taxes still further. As you know, we got it down to 21%. We're going to bring it down even below that. You pay 21 if you don't build here, and meaning your product or whatever it is you're building. And if you do, we're going to try getting it down to 15%. But you have to build your product, make your product in the USA.
Actually, there are a lot of people who were quite silent during President-elect Trump's run, who now are very much on board. Very interested.
You mentioned
how it works.
Mentioning a fella named Zuckerberg, maybe? Is that what you're thinking?
Well, I don't know his politics, but I'm just saying that suddenly every business person is saying it's a brand new dawn.
Meta today did say they donated $1 million to the inaugural fund. He actually breaks a lot of news in the Time interview, Jim.
Man, it's a busy news day today, Thursday, December 12th. Amazing. So much news. Most of it good. Some of it kind of weird stuff. We'll go over the weird stuff later. But right now, I want to talk to you about Donald Trump ringing the bell at the New York Stock Exchange, getting named, obviously, Time Person. No, I'm not going to say that. Time Man of the Year. It's a new dawn. Just like Jim Cramer said, it's a new dawn. We're over this woke stuff. He's the Time Man of the Year. When a woman wins, she's the Time Woman of the Year. Forget this craziness that we're talking about. We're going to go back to sanity. That's where I want to see us go back to. I want to see us be the type of country we're supposed to be. And right now, in case you didn't understand what he said, Trump has come out with a huge incentive program for business. If you bring business into the United States, if you spend $1 billion building a business in the United States, as I mentioned in one of my past videos, he's going to do all kinds of things to help you and your company be successful. He's going to expedite permitting and approvals. He's going to expediting EPA approvals. Business is back. So he goes down to the New York Stock Exchange today, basically the hub of finance in the United States, if not the world, and business leaders just swarmed him. Everybody wanted to be around Donald Trump. He's the first president. Now listen to this. The contrast is great. He is the first president since Ronald Reagan to ring the bell at the New York Stock Exchange. Just imagine that. All of the presidents in between Reagan and Trump, and it took Trump to be the next guy to show up and say, ding, 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 we're open for business. That's simply amazing. And then, of course, we're going to discuss the Time Man of the Year award as well in terms of the article and what they put in that article, which there's some amazing stuff in there as well. But Trump this morning spoke at the event. And so let's listen to what he had to say.
So thank you very much. This is President-elect. Tremendous honor. I brought some of our compatriots along with us. They're going to do a beautiful job for you for the next 4 years. And it's really been something very special. And I have to say, Time Magazine getting this honor for the second time. I think I like it better this time, actually, because... But we did a good job. We had a great first term, despite a lot of turmoil caused unnecessarily. But the media's tamed down a little bit. They're liking us much better now, I think. If they don't, we'll have to just take them on again, and we don't want to do that. But I do want to thank Time Magazine. I've been on the cover many times. I don't know who has the record, but I can only probably talk well about 25% of the covers. 25% are great. The others I just sort of hide. But it's been an honor, and every time it's an honor, I will tell you. And thank you very much for doing it. And thank the whole group at Time. Really very professional people. Thank you very much. And to Jeff and all of the people from the New York Stock Exchange, he knows how much I like it because many years ago I bought a building across the street. I wasn't going to buy it. Then I said, you know, it's right next to the New York Stock Exchange. I'm going to buy it. We've had great success. 40 Wall Street, we've had tremendous success with it. But you've really had success with the New York Stock Exchange. It's an incredible group of people. And Jeff, you have done an incredible job, you and your group. And what a beautiful speech you made. Thank you very much. That was some introduction of all of us. But we've gone up since the election. I was just told by Scott, everybody said, you have to pick Scott Bessent. He has to be the one chosen for Treasury. Where is Scott? Let's see. He's around here someplace. He's around here. He told me we picked up $3 trillion since the election day.
Just imagine that. The economy has picked up $3 trillion since November 5th. Business is beginning to realize it's time, it's going to be the era of making money again, of being prosperous, of having no shame about being successful. And I'm not just talking about the guys in the C-suite or the big CEOs making gazillions of dollars. that is indeed going to help every single level of American. Because the more money the corporation makes, the more other people make. So earlier when Jim Cramer was talking, and he said that Mark Zuckerberg, as cheap as he is, has ponied up $1 million, but that's just for the inauguration. He wrote a check for $1 million to Trump's inauguration, which I don't know yet what it's going to be, but at least he funded that much. I'm sure there's more to come. He's got a lot of money, and all this money is going to have to come calling to Trump. You guys, I'll show it tonight, but Jeff Bezos is going to be meeting with Trump next week, coming to kiss the ring. And today, probably while I'm talking to you right now, these guys, Google, YouTube, Alphabet, are going to be meeting with Trump. So there's a whole lot of shaking going on right now, and a whole lot of talk being driven simply by this man taking office. I heard something today, it was really interesting, that the Democrats are all pissed off. They're pissed off because at this point, Biden has abdicated public policy and foreign policy to Trump. He's nowhere to be found. He'll do a little speech here, a little speech there, but for all intents and purposes, Trump is already president. He doesn't have any of the powers of the executive office as of today, but he's out there making moves and nobody's stopping him. Something many of us have said for quite some time. No one can stop what is coming. Now, it's going to be very hard for some of these companies to right their ship. You know, yesterday I said one of my videos, I think my afternoon video, someone at YouTube dinged it and said it wasn't appropriate because I merely mentioned, you know, what might be getting sprayed in some of these drones in New Jersey. I've appealed it, but see, that's the kind of stuff that's third rail. And what we're going to talk about in a little while is serious third rail stuff, but it's actual current, true news. You won't, well, many of you may have seen some of this already, but you won't believe what happened this afternoon. It's mind-boggling what's happening. But let's continue with what Trump has to say.
And I said, well, that's good, but what about before the election day? He said, we picked up some money there because they thought you were going to win. I said, I like this guy. He's going to be my Treasury Secretary. But it's true. I think we're going to have a tremendous run. We have to straighten out some problems, some big problems in the world. When we left, we didn't have any of these problems. We didn't have Russia with Ukraine. We didn't have Israel October 7th. We didn't have the Afghanistan disaster. We didn't have inflation. We had no inflation. And we had a very strong economy. And we're going to do that again. But I think we're going to even up it because now we have experience that we didn't have. Now I know everybody. You know, when I first came in, we came down, Melania and I, a great first lady, who's very popular, by the way. She rang in the bell. But we came down and we're driving down Pennsylvania Avenue, and it was so beautiful. I said, you know, I've never done this before. I didn't know anybody. I got to the Oval Office, and I'm picking all these big positions, and I didn't really know the people in Washington, but boy, did I get to learn fast.
He's right, and he's not going to make that mistake the second time. See, I think a lot of people forget that. You know, he had never been to Washington as a politician. Wow, this is pretty cool. Yeah, I'm the president. Okay, hey, Joe, who do I hire? Oh, you need to bring this guy in. And then he'll probably turn to Mike Pence. Hey, Mike, who do I bring in for this? Oh, this guy would be the right guy. You see, he trusted people who weren't in his inner circle. And obviously, we know what the outcome of that has been. It was a complete fiasco, all kinds of treasonous mongrels nipping at his heels for power. I noticed in one of the comments here, and one of the comments here says, hey, listen, I don't know if I would trust Bezos or Mark Zuckerberg. And one of the things that I've been telling you all along, you don't have to trust Zuckerberg. You don't have to trust Bezos. You need to trust the big dog. You see, at this point, he knows what he's doing. He knows where the snakes are, and he's surrounding himself with people who are going to help him keep these snakes in the grass. That's what I'm confident in. I don't trust what some of these big business guys would do. Of course, they're only looking out for their own personal best interest and their company's best interest. Of course, I understand that. He understands that. But now the safeguards will be put in place to make sure that these snakes don't get access to the Oval Office.
And now we do, and I think we have an incredible staff behind me and others that aren't here. And we're going to do a fantastic job. We're going to create the incentive theory again. In fact, I just announced yesterday, I didn't announce it for this reason, but anybody investing $1 billion or more gets a very expedited approval process, because, you know, the approvals, when people come into the country, it takes them, in many cases, 14, 15, 16 years to get the approval. We have Lee is around here someplace. He's in charge of the environment, and that's Lee Zeldin, who ran an incredible race for governor in New York, was a very, very successful guy before that. He was a great congressman, and he's a fantastic lawyer. He's in charge of environmental, and we'll try and push him as much as possible to get those permits very quickly. Like a nuclear power plant, I would say a week would be enough time. What do you think? Is that okay?
I just wanted to take a second. I got a comment here, and it says, why is this not airing on X? It's advertised that it is, but it is not. It is. It 100% is. I just checked it. I'm sure the mods will check it. So not sure why you're not seeing it, but I was just watching it myself. So I'm looking at it. It's my first post beyond the pin post. So it's there. Sorry for the interruption.
We're going to get fast approvals, and it's great that we have Lee and all of the people behind. They're all stars in their own way. But it is an honor, and this is a double, because usually they don't coordinate the Man of the Year or the Person of the Year with the ringing of the bell. And brilliantly, you picked them both at the same time, and you were all friends, and you said, let's do it. And it takes one trip. It doesn't take two trips. That's okay. We like to save. We like to be able to do it properly. But this is a special group. So many friends in the audience, too. John, great job you've done at ABC. I'm really proud of you, and you've been so nice to me. Otherwise, I wouldn't actually acknowledge you at all. But you have been. That really is. It's a terrific job you've done. But again, I want to thank you. We're going down to ring the bell now, and I could just say that the economy, I believe, is going to be very strong. We do have to solve some problems. We have wars going on that we didn't have. We have a lot of things happening that we didn't have that would have never happened. They would have never happened, but now they have happened. And I want to get them solved. We have to get them solved, because ultimately the power of weaponry today is the biggest threat we have, in my opinion. It's not some of the other things that you read about. It's the power of weaponry. The weapons are so powerful, so devastating. And I rebuilt our military. I got to know every one of them, including nuclear weapons. I hated to do it. Actually, I hated to do it. But we did some nuclear weapons that are so devastating, it almost makes you very sad as you get them and as they come online. It makes you very sad, because you know what the purpose of them is, and you just hope to God that you never have to use them. Because if you do, the world will never be the same. So we have to be very, very smart. We have to be very sharp. We have to be very special to do a job. And I think we'll get it done. And I think we're going to get a lot of people in the room. We've seen it. We were in France, where President Macron did a fantastic job with the cathedral, an absolutely fantastic job, of Notre Dame. And it was beautiful. The opening was the opening, and I just got back, and it was something really beautiful. And a lot of world leaders there. We had about 80 world leaders, different countries, and they were all...
That was one of the things also that the Democrats have been pissed about. They're pissed about everything. So, I mean, we can't really deal with their insanity. But one of the things that they were pissed about is that Trump got the spotlight in Paris. All these world leaders were there. Macron, Meloni from Italy, all the world leaders were there. And Trump was the one shaking hands and talking to all these people, not Biden. He didn't go. He basically said, I'm busy. Whatever you got to do, you had to do. But Trump was on the main stage. Now, I also understand, and I'll show it tonight just to let you guys see it. This inauguration is going to be a little bit different than most inaugurations. I'm not really sure yet what he has planned. However, he has invited Xi Jinping, the president, CEO, whatever you want to call him, of China, to come to the inauguration of the United States president. Just think of that. Think of that power move. And if Xi Jinping decides to basically accept that invitation and come to the United States for the inauguration of the United States president. Talk about elevating things to a much, much higher stage than anything Biden and Kamala have done. I am going to continue after you see these two shows today and tonight, 7:30. You are probably going to begin agreeing that these people likely will never be, I won't say never, likely not be elected into power for quite some time, especially what I'm going to show you in a little bit. I'm so confident these people are screwed, deservedly screwed, and they know they're screwed. It is absolutely insane what's going on today.
Coming together, they all wanted to meet us and meet me as representative of the U.S., and there was a lot of goodwill, but we're going to get some really tremendous goodwill. I was even thinking about inviting certain people to the inauguration, and some people said, wow, that's a little risky, isn't it? And I said, maybe it is. We'll see. We'll see.
He's talking about Xi Jinping right here. Some people didn't, he hadn't announced it yet, but after this, it was announced. People asked him, who are the important people that you want to invite to the United States inauguration? And he's like, it could be a little bit risky. I just loved how he just get the sly smile. Yeah, but we'll see what we can do.
What happens? But we like to take little chances, but that's not a bad chance. Here's a gentleman that's going to do a great job at HUD. Good luck, my friend, right? He's going to be a he's been my friend for a long time. It's nice to see you. I haven't shaken his hand yet. Come on. Congratulations. Thanks. Really, Terry, you're going to be great. And Ben Carson is your biggest fan in the world. You know that. Ben has been with us for a long time and has done a fantastic job. Thank you. Good. So, ladies and gentlemen, go on. We're going to put it straight. We're going to give tremendous incentive like no other country has. We're cutting your taxes. We're going to cut them very substantially. We got them down to 21% from probably 42 or 44%, depending on where you are. And we got them down to 21. Everyone said that was a miracle. Now we're getting them down to 15, but only if you make your product here. Otherwise, you pay 21, which is not bad. It's in the middle of the pack. But 15 brings you down to among the lower. And for those that are running the big companies, those great, big, beautiful companies, nobody's going to be leaving us. You're going to be coming back. You're going to be bringing it back to the United States. We are incentivizing everybody to come back to the United States. We want you back here. Car manufacturers, everybody. And we have one product that nobody has really to the extent that we do. It's called oil and gas. There is no country in the world that has more. We're number one. I brought it to number one during my first term in terms of production. We're going to be number one plus. We'll do numbers that...
Not imagine. He just said it. You don't have to imagine. Let that sink in. All the countries in the world, United States can be the number one producer of oil and gas in the world. That means extreme wealth. You've seen what's going on in, Saudi Arabia. And we have more. And you have to wonder why the Democrats don't want people in this country to enjoy prosperity. I'll tell you the answer, because if people enjoy prosperity, there is no need for their party ever again. Again, another reason why I don't think they can win a substantial major election anytime soon. They want you on the government dole. They want you needing daddy government. They need you to keep wanting more and more handouts and, here's some more breadcrumbs. Just imagine an affluent society. No, not everybody is going to be rich. Rich is determined and based upon what you feel rich is. Some people feel, hey, if I make 50 grand, I'm doing good. Some people can't live or don't want to live for under a couple million. But whatever it is, the prosperity, the ability to prosper is what's most important. Remove the regulations. Remove all the rules. Get the obstacles out of the way and let people run. I see it firsthand. doing this channel and where it started, and I was getting 3, 4, 800,000 views, and then YouTube went, you like Trump, let's just crank that down, we'll give you a little bit. And you just keep fighting, and if it weren't for that, I can't even imagine where we'd be at this point. Cannot imagine. There are people out there doing jobs that, my lawn guy just came. And he cut the lawn, he fixed the hedges, did some weed and feed. And when I went out and talked to him, I said, how's it going? He goes, going great. And I'm like, what are you looking to do next year? He goes, I'm looking to take on additional staff and buy 4 or 5 trucks. I'm like, wow. I'm like, damn, dude, you're doing well. And the first thing he said to me was, President Trump. And I was stunned because I have not discussed politics with him at all. Never discussed politics with him, and he just said, President Trump. Doors are opening. Regulations are moving. People can begin to flourish at whatever level you're at. It's not just about getting cheaper groceries and cheaper gas. It's when that gas is cheaper, and when that grocery bill is cheaper, and when your rent is cheaper, and you're making more money, then your spread becomes bigger. It will allow you to do different things. Take that vacation, buy those extra clothes, create your own studio. All of this stuff is hand in hand. You don't have to be, well, man, there's no way I make a gazillion dollars. It's funny. I have a comment saved right here. And this comment says, Lear Capital will not accept purchases less than $2,500. That is just not fair for people who want to start. Well, what's not fair is that it's not true. You have to be able to do your research and understand what's out there and what's available to you. For instance, just something like that. You're telling me you want to start. You want to start investing, but you don't have $2,500. Well, did you know? Instead of calling, but if you went to the website, you can purchase at a much lower initial cost. Problem solved. Go click the button. That's all you got to do. You don't have to pick up the phone. And that's not even a commercial. That's just me giving you some information. Let's continue with Trump.
Nobody will really see before. And when that happens, prices are going to start coming down because people can't afford their groceries, and they're going to be affording their groceries very soon. I tell the story about a woman an old woman, no money, went to a grocery store, had 3 apples. She put them down on the counter, and she looked, and she saw the price, and she said, would you excuse me? And she walked one of the apples back to the refrigerator and came back to pay for the 2 apples. And she left with 2 apples. And the woman at the counter said that was so sad. And when I heard about the story, I said that should never happen in America. And it's not going to happen in America. We're going to do it right. And we're going to take care of our people. And we're going to do things that nobody ever thought even were possible. But we're going to have an economy the likes of which nobody's ever seen before, and everybody's coming back to America. I saw that the other day at the cathedral. They're all saying, we want to come back, we want to come back. And with a couple of changes done by Howard and Scott and some of the great people up here with me, we're going to bring them all back. They're all coming back. So thank you very much. This is a great honor, and ringing the bell will be fantastic. And go out and get them. We're with you all the way. Thank you very much. Thank you.
So as you know, he was talking to some Wall Street types there, and he's like, go get it. Get out there. He understands how Wall Street works. Get going. Talk to your people. Bring the money back. I saw this comment by Viper, and it says, my landlord ain't going to decrease the rent. That's hilarious. No, what's hilarious is you're not understanding. You see, your landlord probably has you in a lease right now, and there's no reason why he would decrease your rent. However, looking at a better economy, what you're going to have is opportunity. Well, Barry, what opportunity will I have? Well, you'll have an opportunity to look for a different lease. You're not stuck. Nobody is stuck. Even if you're in a lease, I mean, I'm not going to spend the time telling you how to renegotiate it, but if you're in property A and property C down the street is pretty much the same deal, it's 2 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, 1,000 square feet, and you're like, I can get this one for 30% less. That's what's going to happen. The prices will come down, not your lease. That's a big difference. You signed a contract. Your contract said you're going to pay $2,000 a month, and you're going to pay $2,000 a month for 12 months. That's a contract. That's not a price. That's a contract. The market price may drop in your area from $2,000 to say $1,750. And so now you have the opportunity when a lease comes up for renewal to say, hey, Mr. Landlord, here's what's going to happen. Guy down the street says I can get the same property for $1,750. Can you match it? I don't want to have to move, but if you can't match it, I'm gone. I guess the perspective is, and where the difference is with people who truly want to better themselves, it's initiative, not response. Don't wait for someone to make things better for you. Look for ways to make things better for yourself. Hey man, that property over there is $1,750. I'm paying $2,000. I need to get over there. So you got to come back with some hand. It's the same way when you're driving down the street and you see the gas stations, and there's a gas station on the east corner and a gas station on the west corner. Most of the time they sell the same price. Sometimes they're a couple cents off. But at that point, as you're driving, you can say, hey, listen, I'm on the north side of the road. I don't feel like crossing traffic. Plus, I want to get a soda and maybe some chips, and let me pull in here. Because it's more convenient. You're making the decision. No one's telling you you have to do it this way. And so when I see people say, hey, Lear says this is the only way I can do it. Really? Have you checked this out? Hey, I'm locked into this lease. Really? There's ways to work that as well. Just don't get stuck in things. That's all I'm saying. So as a part of that winning the man of the, or person of the year, as they call it right now, it was very interesting what went along with that. So the interview itself on Time Magazine, some people have pulled out snippets of what was said. Let's take a look at some of the questions that came out. So he was talking about Kamala Harris. And in talking about Kamala Harris, he says, what do you think were her worst mistakes in the campaign? And this is just a boss answer. Taking the assignment. Number one, because you have to know what you're good at. Oh, he just stuck the knife in Kamala on that one. Just, man, the fact that you tried to run, you were over your head when you started. You shouldn't have even been running for the president. You have to know what you're good at. And obviously we saw her completely fall apart, so you understand what he's saying there. You shouldn't have been in here. You shouldn't have been in the race. I love that question. Let's see what the next question is. Do you think there will be a Trump dynasty? I think there could be, yeah. I see the people we're talking about. Laura has been amazing, Laura Trump. Look, she was the head of the Republican Party. She's a young woman, and she was the head of the Republican Party. So somehow he sees there could be a Trump dynasty, which a lot of people began saying right off the bat. J.D. Vance, Laura Trump. J.D. Vance, Donald Trump Jr. More like, I'm thinking J.D. Vance, Laura Trump would be an unbelievable candidacy in 2028. Especially if she becomes a senator here down in Florida for the next 4 years and takes Marco Rubio's spot. Then she'll be ready. She would have run the Republican Party. She would have been a senator for 4 years. And then J.D. Vance would have been a VP. Yeah, it could indeed be a dynasty. Let's look at the next one. All right, so let me put this on full screen so you can read it. It says, a question on the minds of a lot of Americans. Will you restore your policy of separating families? So somebody here is trying to do a gotcha question. And he gives her basically the same answer that Tom Homan gave. I won't have to, because first of all, it wasn't my policy. It was Obama's policy. I didn't build jail cells for children. He did. If you look at the 2014, and then this, I don't know who the interviewer, I almost said woman. I don't want to litigate the past. I'm just asking you if you will do this. And then here comes another boss move. Well, you said policy. This was a policy of the country. I don't believe we'll have to because we'll send the whole family back. See, he's not giving these liberals an inch. You're not getting anything. You're trying to wedge something and see if there's some way you can make me look bad or understand I got to play along with your wokiness. Nope. No, not going to have it. We don't have to separate anything. They can go back with mom and dad. He's not giving them an inch. Absolutely love it. Check this out. What does moving back to the states mean in regards to the education? Does that mean closing the education department? And his answer is a virtual closure of the Department of Education in Washington. Boom. And when I mean boom, is right there you have the entire Teachers Association and the biggest money laundering scheme in America other than wars right now is how much money they give to the National Association or Education, and it comes right back to the Democrats. Because 99% of the time, I won't say 99, 90-something percent of the Teachers Associations and teachers support Democrats. Because they've grown the administrative state in the school systems so big, they're always asking for more money. Always. How can schools across America at this point not have books? Not have everything they possibly need because they've gotten gazillions of dollars, but they're always broke. I drive around here, I think I've told you the story, and I see the football fields, and I see the manicured tracks, and all the stuff that is given to the school systems here. And what it wasn't DeSantis, it goes way back. The lottery, when Florida decided to have a lottery, a lot of that money went to the school system. And so they don't need as much from the federal government to run the schools because they're making money. They're actually, you go and buy a lottery ticket, it helps pay for the schools. These people don't want that to happen because that would mean the end of the money train for the Teachers Association to funnel it back to the Democrats. Again, something else big that eventually could mean that Democrats can't win. They can't get funded. They're pissing off donors, and they have counted on certain money for decades. They've counted on the fact that the Teachers Association will kick money back to Democrat candidates. And now look at you. Now look at where you're at. This one. Now this is going to segue into the next part of this show because got some big stuff coming up here. So these next three I want you to pay particular attention to. Have you decided yet whether you're going to pardon all of the January 6th defendants? His answer is yes. I'm surprised the person asking the questions at Time Magazine didn't have cardiac arrest right then and there. They're freaking. The two things that these people have been completely nuts about are, oh my God, the insurrectionists, you can't let them out. And number two, as we've seen, you're going to go after your political opponents. Those are the two things that terrify these people the most. For good reason, which I'm going to show you. So anyway, he says, yes, you're gonna get all of them. Let me see so I can read here. I'm gonna do a case by case, and if they were nonviolent, I think they've been greatly punished. And the answer is I will be doing that. Yeah, I'm gonna look if there's some that were really out of control. So what's really important here is he has said now the ones who are nonviolent, which is pretty much, I think, all of them. I don't think there's anyone in jail for January 6th that was violent. And now they're pushing, and she says, so you will not include those who committed violent acts. Well, we're going to look at each individual case, and we're going to do it very quickly. And it's going to start in the first hour that I get into office. And a vast majority of them should not be in jail. A vast majority should not be in jail. They've suffered greatly. And I say, why is it that in Portland and in many other places, Minneapolis, why is it that nothing happened with those people? And they actually caused death and destruction at levels never seen before. He's talking about the idiots who burned over St. George. All the riots. Those people never even saw the inside of a jail cell. And he ain't having it. So, you know, if you take a look at what happened in Seattle, you had people die, you had a lot of death, and nothing happened. And then these people have been treated really, really badly. Yeah, it's an important issue for me. So Kimberly Wargo, who I interviewed a few weeks ago, who's still on probation, it seems like that's going to end very, very soon, which is fantastic for them. They deserve to be released, and not just released. With what I'm going to show you after this break, not only should they be released, they should be compensated. They should receive massive restitution. Watch, when you see what's happened today, you're going to shake your head and go, number one, why did it take 4 years for this to happen? Why did it take 4 years? Right before he gets in office, all of a sudden, we find this out. Hold on 1 second after this break from Lear Capital. If you see what's going on in the world right now and what may happen here in America, you may want to prepare and pay attention. You know that Lear Capital is a big supporter of this show. If you want to be protected in the event that things go off the wall, I advise you to look into buying gold and silver. We are all just one catastrophic event away from the value of the American dollar plunging. Do you know what's not plunging? Gold and silver. I'm telling you now, make sure that you have some form of your money invested in precious metals. Lear Capital will ship your gold or your silver coins directly to your house. It's not just a certificate. You can store them in your gun safe, or you can store them off-site in a 24-hour protected facility. It's totally up to you. But when things go crazy here or across the world, the value of the American dollar is going to decline. It's inevitable, and it might not even take a war. We may do it to ourselves. And I mean, the Federal Reserve plays around with interest rates, the US dollar will likely decline in value as well. Meanwhile, you'll see gold and silver continue to rise in value. If you call Lear Capital, they will take the time to educate you and answer all of your questions about gold and silver. Just give them a call at 800-601-5430 or go to Learberry, that's me, Learberry.com, to download your free de-dollarization report. You should know that Lear Capital is an American company. If you call them today, you'll be speaking with people right here in the United States. Now is the time to take action. Call 800-601-5430 or go to Learberry.com. And when you call, ask them how you can get up to $15,000 in bonus gold with a qualifying purchase. There's absolutely no obligation to buy anything. Just free information on protecting your hard-earned dollars with gold and silver. You know, when you think about it, you're actually not buying anything. You're simply going to be exchanging dollars for gold, moving currency. Give them a call today. Tell them Barry sent you.
Do you know why he won't admit this, even though everybody knows it to be true at this point? It's already been publicly reported. You want to know why? And it's going to come out later today, too. Because if you find out that there may have been people working with the FBI, now don't assume they're all, I'm telling you there were federal agents in the crowd. That's a fact. Everybody got it? So I don't want my words to be misconstrued. There were definitely federal agents in the crowd, and probably a lot of them. That's not so much, I think, what they're hiding, okay? There are always counter surveillance people and stuff in crowds everywhere. That's not even news. Inauguration day, there's going to be feds all over the place in the crowd. They're sitting there working counter surveillance, looking for stuff. I get it. That's not the scandal here, folks. This is what I think a lot of the reporters are missing. What I want to know is were there FBI assets in the crowd? In other words, people pretending to be, say, the Proud Boys or something else, working for the FBI, who were there specifically to gin up and agitate and provoke violence. That's the question I want answered. And then with federal agents nearby watching the whole thing. That's what I want to know. And that's the question I know some people, Julie's asking and Darren, but a lot of others are missing.
This is pretty big.
Well, Dan had that question a few days ago or possibly a week ago. I'm not sure where that cut came from. But his answer or the question has now been answered. Of course they had FBI at the event. You're supposed to. But were they actually working the event in terms of facilitating this so-called you-know-what? You realize today, even today, I still feel weird whether or not they're going to flip a switch because I'm talking about the so-called interruption. Yeah, I had to change the words there. And it's funny because even Vivek Ramaswamy posted this today. He goes, if you uttered the facts in this IG report last year, you were labeled a conspiracy theorist, a nut. It's also notable that the IG report came out literally the day after Christopher Wray resigned. Yes, if you merely mentioned that you were suspect about the whole insurrectionist stuff, you're a conspiracy theorist, we're going to have to demonetize your video or maybe even like take it down. Don't even think that way. And now today, the actual truth comes out. The actual truth 4 years later, the day after the FBI director resigns. I've said it so many times. There are no friggin' coincidences. There are no friggin' coincidences in this government. All we have, especially when it goes into government, is information you don't know about, or I don't know about. I think we're going to find a huge coincidency with this stuff that's happening with the drones in New Jersey. But one thing at a time. Today, a huge Jenga block got pulled out of the government. There's a reason why Christopher Wray had to tuck tail and run. He knew this IG report, IG Inspector General, he knew this IG report was coming out today. He knew there's no way he could stay in office in January because not only would he probably get fired, but before he got fired, he might get fitted for bracelets. I'm actively digging right now for the testimony he gave to Congress. And it's likely at this point we are going to find that Christopher Wray committed perjury. He may have danced, I can't remember his exact words. He may have said, oh, well, it's under investigation. I can't discuss an active investigation. We'll see what the exact words that he said when he was testifying. But I'm pretty sure it's damning because there would have been no reason for him to tuck tail and run yesterday. I'm done. I'm out. See y'all later. And then today, boom, it drops.
A piece of news to kick off the show today, Sandra. I'm John Roberts in Washington. The report reveals that there were a total of 26 confidential human sources in the crowd that day.
David Spunt is live from the Justice Department. He has got the news for us. David.
Sandra, 3 of those were authorized and tasked by the FBI to be there on January 6, 2021. We're coming up on 4 years since that day of the Capitol riot. This IG report specifically focuses on the FBI's handling of confidential human sources, or as we know them, FBI informants. For years, the outgoing FBI director, Chris Wray, has been pressed on reports of undercover agents. According to this new report, there were no undercover FBI agents. However, there were 3 confidential human sources tasked by the Bureau to be in the crowd on January 6th to specifically watch what the report states is concerns over domestic terrorism. Out of those 3, Sandra and John, 1 entered the Capitol, 2 others entered a restricted area. The report says the FBI did not encourage or authorize any sources to go into the building or a restricted area. In addition to the...
So if they weren't authorized to go into these restricted areas, why did they? Who are they? Have we got names to these people? This is some fishy stuff.
3 confidential human sources. The FBI told there were 23 that were there on their own. Now, they had worked with the FBI in the past on other cases, but not specifically on the January 6th rally.
All right, I got to stop. Make sure you guys, he's speaking really fast. He doesn't break things down. Okay, so there were 20 others who were there on their own. These 20 other FBI informants decided to show up on January 6th on their own. No one directed them, huh? How about the guy, the pipe bomber guy that nobody can seem to find? Then again, if you can't tell us what drones are going around, maybe you couldn't find this guy. It's insane. So I want to pull this thing up here while we have a moment, and I want to show this to you. All right, the FBI had 26 confidential human sources at the Capitol. Man, those are some tricky words. On January 6th, including 4 who entered the Capitol building and 13 who entered, quote, the restricted area around the Capitol, according to a DOJ Inspector General report. Do you guys wonder how come this came out today? Anybody wonder, since 2020, it took you this long to write this up? You're either the most incompetent agency in the world, or you were covering something up and you had to disclose it before Trump got into office. There's no way you didn't know this, March of 2020. Well, let's continue. We determined that 26 CHS, which is confidential human sources, who were in D.C. on January 6 in connection with the events of January 6, entered the Capitol during the riot. An additional, wait a minute. They entered it during the riot? Well, let me just check for a second. This is an official document from the Department of Justice. I'm going to have to check some things out. Something's wrong here.
Entered a restricted area as well. And what stands...
Let's look at this. 4 entered the Capitol during the riot. Funny. Even the Department of Justice doesn't call it an insurrection. In fact, in their entire report, they don't mention the word insurrection. Interesting. Interesting, isn't it? An additional 13 entered the restricted area around the Capitol, which was a security perimeter established in preparation for the electoral certification. And 9 neither entered a restricted area nor entered the Capitol or otherwise engaged in any illegal activity. None of these informants who entered the Capitol or restricted area have been prosecuted to date. How flipping convenient. So you're telling me you're acknowledging. You're telling me that there are up to 20 people running around in here doing whatever. You don't disclose that. But none of them have been arrested 4 years later. None. How can that be? How can that possibly be? None. The WFO, who did not know that a total of 26 CHSs would be in D.C. for the events of January 6th because only 4 field offices had informed the WFO or FBI headquarters that CHSs under the relevant field office jurisdiction, 5, would be traveling to D.C. on January 6th. All right, so in a convoluted way, what you're saying is people weren't even communicating within the FBI, probably because it was too secret. The Inspector General determined that many of these 26 informants had provided information relevant to the January 6th electoral certification before the event. So they were snitching. They were assets. And then a few also provided information about the riot as it occurred. So you had communications with them. So they just weren't informants, they were wired. They were able to communicate with the FBI. In addition, field offices collected reported relevant information to the January 6th electoral certification who did not travel to D.C. Among the information provided was the following, and it cuts off. And then Representative Clay Higgins said there were well over 200 FBI assets involved on January 6th, including some dressed as Trump supporters that were inside the Capitol and leading people to key locations. In other words, it was a setup. The government set up Trump and Trump supporters, which this isn't breaking news to you. There are many of you who knew this years ago, that it was all a setup. The whole thing was fake. It was a huge entrapment. We knew what Nancy Pelosi had done and how they denied the national. It's all BS. So the only important thing to focus on here at this point is why. And number two, these people should be released today. Joe Biden should say, every one of these people in jail right now, get them out. You've been had. You've been caught. Let them all out. Wipe everybody, like people like Kim Wargo who already went to jail. You're going to have to write a big flipping check. Trump is going to make sure that Pam Bondi and Kash Patel just go through this unbelievably.
Out in this report, John and Sandra, none of the confidential human sources that entered the U.S. Capitol or a restricted area were prosecuted by the D.C. U.S. Attorney's Office. Remember, this is an office that is still arresting nearly 4 years later and prosecuting people with this case. Now, in a response to the Inspector General, the D.C. U.S. Attorney's Office says the following. The D.C. U.S. Attorney's Office generally has not charged those individuals whose only crime on January 6, 2021 was to enter the restricted grounds surrounding the Capitol, which has resulted in the office declining to charge hundreds of individuals, and we have treated the confidential human sources as consistent with this approach. Outgoing FBI Director Christopher Wray, who announced that he would be stepping down in the next few weeks yesterday, has been pressed on the FBI's role on January 6. Here's just one clip from last year.
If you are asking whether the violence at the Capitol on January 6 was part of some operation orchestrated by FBI sources and or agents, the answer is emphatically
You're saying no?
No.
You're saying no?
Not
Okay.
violence orchestrated by
Let's move
FBI
on.
sources or agents.
Confidential human sources tasked by the FBI are not undercover agents. These are people that belong to groups like, for instance, the Proud Boys, the Oath Keepers, and then became paid FBI informants at certain points in time while still being...
You know what else is interesting? Checks notes. Patriot Front disbanded today. You know, the guys who were dressed in khakis and blue shirts with masks on and carry the flag, the Patriot Front, they decided, just like Chris Wray, you know what, today'd be a good day for us to just disband. We're no longer, you know, we're not going to do this anymore. Seriously? I'm telling you right now, there are people digging up every testimony that Christopher Wray ever gave in Congress, looking at every single document, and he knows that. And that's why he exited stage left. He had to.
Members of their groups. And of course, John and Sandra, others are not part of any group and just decided to show up to the Capitol for whatever reason and still work with the FBI on the side and provide information. And we're, of course, waiting for more information from Capitol Hill to see if the White House has anything, the Department of Justice, the FBI, as this report just breaking now with the Inspector General.
Exactly.
That's me holding my breath, waiting for Merrick Garland to issue some kind of report. Because you know it's not coming. These people are all going to go get out of Dodge real quick. And they're probably having right now, it's Wednesday, no, it's Thursday, probably today and tomorrow, right before Christmas, they're going to have a mass shredding party. Delete, 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 delete. You're caught. You're absolutely caught. Still got to answer. Kash Patel, you got to find out why they waited till today to issue this report. Why is it on December 12th of 2024, 4 years later, right before Trump gets in office, like, hey, let's drop this report and run. Let's get out of here. You ruined people's lives. Our government, the American government, ruined people's lives just to stay in power. And you know what this leads to, don't you? I'm pretty sure you're thinking this. If you're willing to orchestrate all of this, could an election have been that much different? You obviously felt you had to do something to keep the Democrats, in power. And you were willing to destroy people's lives to come up with some sort of insanity of an insurrection. And you use the media. The media, these people are just too much. I mean, I want to show you something. This is how they're covering it. FBI didn't deploy undercover agents, Watchdog report finds. No evidence undercover FBI agents joined Capitol riots. I mean, I can't even show you all of them because it's too big on the screen here. Let me see if my other screen can show it, because it's a big picture. No, but you get the point. Probe finds no evidence. They're all jumping in right now and saying, oh, there's no evidence the FBI did anything. But did you just not read this stuff yourself? That's specifically why nobody trusts the media. And in case they're wondering, here, let me see if I think I can save it. And if I save it here, I can bring it up. That is specifically why nobody trusts you. You are complete BS, and you'll do anything to cover for the government, daddy government. Hold on here. Let me do this. Where'd that go? Okay, here. Let's take a look at this so you guys can see. All right, you ready? Within minutes, they all came out and said the exact same thing. They got the memo. Probe finds no evidence feds were involved in inciting January 6th. FBI did not send undercover operatives to join January 6th. FBI didn't deploy undercover agents on January 6th. No evidence, and so on, and so on, and so on. Now they got to cover their own butts. Now they're out there doing anything they can because they got to cover their own butts at this point. And it's only going to get worse. Okay, hold on. Let me get back to that video so we can hear an attorney talk about this thing right now, because this is going to get crazy. Ready?
Just waiting for more information from Capitol Hill to see if the White House has anything, the Department of Justice, the FBI, as this report just breaking now with the Inspector General.
Exactly were they doing? And in fact, some of them, as we learned from this report, entered the restricted area, went into the Capitol. Were they inciting anything? Were they enticing anyone to go with them? I really would love to know what exactly they were saying to the people in the groups that they were part of. I also think it's interesting that this report comes out the day after Chris Wray resigns. It seems to me that he may not have wanted to contend with the questions that, of course, are going to emerge from everything that we're learning today. And the other point I'd like to make is something that David Spunch just raised, where he said that Matthew Graves, who's the U.S. attorney here in Washington, D.C., did not prosecute any of those confidential human sources, spies, that did enter the Capitol that day. And his office, Graves' office, did put out a statement and said that they did not generally prosecute anyone who just went into the Capitol and didn't commit other crimes. My question there is, what does generally mean? How did they make those decisions? And why weren't those particular paid spies part of that group?
You saw my interview with Kimberly Wargo. She didn't do anything else. So they lied there. Oh, we didn't charge anybody who just entered the Capitol and walked around. Yeah, you did. Yeah, you most assuredly did. She walked around, didn't break anything, just walked around with her and her son, actually helped pick up stuff, but she got busted and put in jail, and is still on probation. So they're lying. And Libs of TikTok posted this. IG report, the FBI deployed confidential sources to be in the crowd on January 6th. But this is how the media is covering it, which I just showed you. They're purposely misleading readers with word games and lying by omission. The FBI sent informants into the crowd. Therefore, the FBI had a presence there. 100% true. They are completely lying. And the more you see this stuff and you start to understand, the media is nothing more than an extension of the Democrat apparatus. Here's an old article. It says here, ABC News, there's no evidence that feds were involved in inciting the January 6th attack. And they couldn't wait to get this put out. This came out at 1 o'clock. Probe finds no evidence feds were involved in inciting January 6th attack. The findings undercut baseless claims that the FBI played a significant role. You really have to be stupid to swallow the pablum that the media is putting out there. They wondered, I showed you yesterday, where Leslie Stahl and Peggy Noonan were talking about how people don't listen to the media anymore. You wonder why. You have no one to blame but yourselves. You've made your beds and crawled around with snakes and pulled the blankets over your head, and now you get to lie in it. Literally. Nobody trusts you. You will no longer be relevant. And like I've said, here it is, December 12th. We're past a month past the election, and they're still acting like it's November 3rd and 4th. They continue. They can't extricate themselves from the lies at this point. Can't do it.
The 23 confidential human sources, just reading through this, Carrie, 3 of them entered the Capitol during the riot. An additional 11 entered the restricted area around the Capitol, to your point. Based on what we have learned so far in the details of this report, how would you characterize the findings?
Well, it's very interesting. I think it's especially interesting given that people who some of them were just, I think, internet sleuths and the like, have been talking about this for years. And it was only, I think, a couple of years ago that a DOJ attorney in court made the admission that some of these people were present that day. But if you remember, anyone who even raised the possibility that there were paid FBI spies part of what happened, who were part of what happened on January 6th, they were deemed crazy, conspiracy theorists, and the like. Now, look, confidential.
Absolutely, this guy. Absolutely. That would have gotten you before Elon Musk purchased this. That would have gotten you deplatformed. They would have deleted your account. You would have been considered one of those Q guys. I'm taking a chance by even saying that. Oh yeah, they would have said that at that point before he purchased. You had to be very, very careful. If you were openly saying, hey, the feds were involved, zip, zap, boom, you would be gone. It would take like no time. It was the biggest censorship apparatus ever seen by our own government. This is why they hate Elon Musk. This is why they don't have any way, shape, or form of putting the genie back in the bottle. Podcast, what I'm doing, Benny, Dom, what's his name? Dan Bongino, PBD. Everybody will be talking about this today. And everybody will be telling their audiences, look what your government did to you, and look what the media had, how their hands were involved in this as well. There is no way the media or the government can extricate themselves from this entire bamboozling that they've done over the American public. And I see this comment here, and it's a very warranted comment. It says, does Ray get off scot-free now? As of today, yeah, he was in on it. Merrick Garland, in on it. They all knew. This is why they're looking for pardons, and everybody needs their ship, their immunity pin. Everybody needs an immunity idol at this point because it's like, oh crap, it's all coming out. What do we do? What do we do? This guy Trump actually freaking won? Oh. Seriously? You told me there was no chance he was going to win. We'd all be okay. Now, what do we do? When Trump said make it too big to rig, this is why. Now they're caught. They are, boom, bear trap, closed. No way to get out of it. And they're running like rats off a ship. I mean, literally, the Titanic is like this, and this is just the first one. You know there's more stuff that's going to come out. Oh, there's so much more. That's why the shredding party and the delete party is probably happening right now. Man. And so now Kash Patel, put it this way. I've been telling you, now you see why we got to be looking at recess appointments. Do you now see why all this going through the halls of Congress and meeting with these yahoos? Oh yeah, how you doing? Yeah. It's got to be the biggest ruse going on right now. Because there's no way they want these people in office. There's no way they want Kash Patel and Pam Bondi looking into this. They're about to basically be like a proctologist. I mean, they're going to spread butt cheeks wide open. That's what you got in there. And there's so much. There's so much for them to look at. They never thought Trump would win. And because they didn't think Trump would win, they didn't do what they needed to do to clean all this stuff up. And they're scrambling. And the funny part now is we can all see it. See, we didn't look behind the cabinet and see roaches. There's no, everything's fine. You turn the light on and the roaches were still behind the cabinet. But now we've ripped the cabinet off the wall and turned the lights on and you can see everybody scurrying. I'm talking from real estate rehab I did once, but I won't go there. And we're all looking at it. We are watching it unfold. We are watching these people lose their mind, figure out, what do we do? How do I get the immunity idol? Oh, he already found it. He's got his. How do the rest of them get off the island? I don't know. Speaking of islands, never mind. But you see where I'm going. When I say there's so much, there's too much for them to hide at this point. You got this. You got this. You got this. You got Ukraine. You got so much. And you can't cover it up in 30 days. People are seriously in trouble. At this point, I know Trump has said no deals, but you better be making some trips to Mar-a-Lago right now.
Human sources are a law enforcement tool that are used in all kinds of situations, and we know that some of these people were apparently part of the Proud Boys and Oath Keepers. But again, why so many? What were they doing? What were the conversations they were having? And if they were, in fact, according to the IG and the FBI, not authorized to be there, then why weren't they prosecuted like everybody else who were prosecuted for similar issues?
On that point, you and I were talking about this off camera. So far, as of August, 1,488 people who were there on January the 6th have been charged with some sort of an offense. 894 of those people have pled guilty to various offenses. 288 pled guilty to felonies. 606 pled guilty to misdemeanors. Yet none of these confidential informants were charged with anything.
Right, so you have to wonder what were the conversations that were happening behind the scenes. And something else that came
Okay, so she just made a good point. What were these conversations that were going on? Who's got the tapes of them? Oh, that's right. The January 6th committee supposedly had all this information. And for a long time now, people have said, yeah, Liz Cheney and some of you guys were back there with the Disney producer creating a new version of Insurrection Moana. You were making a movie. It wasn't true. And you played around with facts and documents. And all that stuff better be there. Because the fact that it's not there isn't going to get you off, because there's more trouble for you.
In this report was that the confidential human sources, apparently the information they were providing to the FBI was no different than what everyone else was providing. Like, hey, January 6th, there might be some violence, there might be a thing. So there wasn't any, apparently it sounds like there wasn't anything special that they were revealing. And, you know, again, the questions are, what were those confidential human sources who were, quote, not encouraged or directed to be there by the FBI? What were they saying to the other people in their groups?
Back up, honey. Before we ask what they were saying, what were they doing there? Were they Trump supporters? Did they decide on a cold January 6th day in 2020? You know what? I got nothing else to do. Let me just head down to D.C. and go to this party, this little soiree that Trump is throwing. This might be fun. This might be interesting. Who paid for your trip? Who paid for your gas? Where did you stay? Oh, they just happened to show up there. So if they, used a FBI credit card or wire transfer, how'd they get there? And why did they go? Man, there's so many questions.
The reason I keep raising that is because if, in fact, there were conversations occurring like, hey, let's go in there, let's do that, let's do this. Entrapment is a defense. If a government agent induces you to commit a crime, a defendant can raise that in the court of law and say, look, I was trapped into doing something. I was enticed into...
Problem with that, huge problem, is all these defendants would have had to have known that these people were there. And since it just got uncovered today, everybody who pled guilty, who didn't plead guilty but then got thrown in jail anyways, not a single one of them knew this happened. So they didn't even have the opportunity to address these people because nobody told them. Oh yeah, by the way, let's go ahead and do some discovery here. Yeah, we had 26, 30, 200 people there. Nope, never told them. Never told them. Every one of those convictions right now are suspect. They got to be thrown out.
Doing something by the government I otherwise wouldn't have done. Now, the government's response based on this report would probably be, well, they weren't authorized by the government to be there at the time. But then, of course, a question for a judge would be, well, could they have been perceived still as an agent of the government, given that they were, this confidential human source? What did the defendant know about them and their role at the time? I just think this report raises more questions, but certainly at a minimum, gives some credibility to people who have been saying this for so many years.
And I assume that we're never going to learn the names or the identities of the confidential informants. So that will leave open the question as to who it was. We got.
Yo, bro, preserve your documents and lawyer up. All of you guys.
I love this guy. He looks like he just got out of bed. He always looks like his studio, wherever he is, it must be cold or something. And he starts this with, yo, bro, preserve your documents. Daddy's coming. Before, I want to address a comment I just saw come in. It says, they believe Trump wouldn't win because Trump wouldn't be here. Yeah, I think that entered into it as well. They didn't think that Trump would be here. Oh, man, did they screw up, thankfully.
It's all you FBI spokesmen, former guys, everybody associated with the 51 letters that have been signed, the 51, your security clearance is going to be pulled immediately. Preserve your documents and lawyer up. So don't say when stuff gets pulled from you later, hey, I didn't know that. You got warned in the war room over and over again. Preserve your documents and lawyer up. To the Kash Patel situation about his qualifications, they've had judges, come on, man. 65% of the FBI now, I think, on a budgetary basis is in counterintel or intelligence, counterintelligence, and counterterrorism. Those three areas: intelligence, counterintelligence, and in counterterrorism, particularly post 9/11. This is what Kash told me. He said the footprints going, the budget's exploded. Why do you think they need a headquarters building that Maryland and Virginia have been at each other's throats fighting for? Because it's the size of the Pentagon. Now, why is it the size of the Pentagon? It's not because they're playing cops and robbers. Only 35%, I think, of the budget, or 40% of the budget, is with traditional law enforcement. That's kind of the afterthought. Unless they're jackbooting in to get people praying the rosary at abortion centers, or unless they...
Oh, this is about to get so bad. I mean, so bad. I'm looking, well, you're going to see. This is Jonathan Turley. You guys know who Jonathan Turley is. He's on Fox. He's on some of the other channels. He's a professor of law at George Washington. The new IG report on January 6 may raise more questions than answers. Duh. It confirms that confidential sources did indeed enter the Capitol and the restricted areas. The question is whether the presence of these sources were revealed to the defense in the hundreds of prosecutions. Moreover, there is a question of why the 3 sources who entered the Capitol were not charged as part of an operation that the Justice Department described as an effort to shock and awe, targeting everyone involved on that day. The IG found that most of these individuals were there without any instruction or request from the government. However, as paid sources for the FBI, the question is what they did on that day. The IG suggests that they were not engaged in the core criminal conduct prosecuted on that day, yet if revealed to the defense, including hundreds who pled guilty, defense counsel would not just take the government's word for what they did that day. This is where the hornet's nest just becomes like, oh my God, you didn't tell these people, these nearly 1,500 people who were charged, you didn't tell them that there were government informants? Their attorneys didn't know this? I mean, that's like Law School 101. They made a movie about it. Many of you have seen My Cousin Vinny. And Vinny's like, yeah, you got to give me the documents, remember? It's called discovery. And at this level, in our federal government, they completely ignored it. The IG suggests that they were not engaged in, this one. Given the many hearings and inquiries from Congress, it is likely that the House committees will have additional questions on what is known about the role or conduct of these sources. In the end, this report does not find specific wrongdoing or direction from the sources in the rioting on January 6th. Excuse me. It also does not find that any undercover agents were working in the crowd. That will bolster testimony given by Wray. The Congress, however, is likely to seek more information on these sources and their conduct on the day. And as this man says here, the defense would have had the right to move the court to require the government to reveal the identity of any confidential sources. Obviously, any one of them could be a material witness. Potential Brady violations all over the place. And I'm not going to go into Brady violations. You can look it up, or if you want me to, I'll do a show on it. But bottom line is, they didn't disclose any of this. They didn't tell any of the people, likely didn't tell any of the people who were charged that they were running an op. God help us. What our government just did. This is from Liz Wheeler, who's been in this knee deep. Literally everything you've been told about January 6th is a lie. The truth, it wasn't an insurrection. Protesters didn't have illegal weapons. It wasn't coordinated except by the feds. 26 undercover FBI sources entered the Capitol in restricted areas. None have been prosecuted. No police were killed. In fact, nobody was killed except Ashley Babbitt, who was shot by police. Trump did not call for violence. He specifically called for peace and told writers to go home. The 17th letter shaman wasn't trying to overthrow the government. Cops opened Capitol doors for protesters. Barriers outside were moved to allow them in. Nancy Pelosi knew everything and did nothing to stop it. AOC was never in danger, and the defendants have been denied constitutionally required due process and coerced into pleading guilty. All an effort to hide the reality of what happened with the Biden election, which is a mundane and obvious observation now that we see that Biden got millions more votes than any other Democrat in history. Trump should prosecute and throw in prison every single rotten, evil scumbag involved. See, this isn't going after your opponents. This is going after criminals. There's a big difference. I don't care if they're opponents. I don't care if they're your next door neighbor. If they were involved in all the stuff that's been going on, they're criminals who just happen to be Democrats. That's why they've been pushing. You're not going to go after your political opponents, are you? Oh, really? And it goes so high. You want to know how high it goes? Bill Clinton went on The View today, or yesterday rather, and said that Hillary Clinton should get a pardon. Hillary? Think about that. Think about that he wanted Hillary to get a pardon. And I could just go on and on. There's so much out here talking about this at this point. Even Jack Poso posted this. This is a Brady violation. Chris Wray and the FBI withheld the information about the 26 assets from every January 6th defendant. Every single J6 conviction must be overturned immediately. Immediately. It's what? 5 o'clock? They should be doing it, and they should be the other ones should be out of jail by tonight. This is absurd. Absolutely absurd. But it gets more absurd. It gets more absurd. You're like, Barry, how could it possibly get more absurd? Well, how about this one? Betty put this out. Breaking. January 6th committee chairman, the guy who was in charge of the whole thing, supposedly, Benny Thompson, says he would accept a pardon from Biden if it were offered. So wait a second. The guy who was basically in charge of the entire thing, upon hearing this, let me see what time did Benny post this. Oh yeah, okay, hold on. Yeah, this was posted at December 12th today at 3:07. So this news comes out, and we're talking about all of this J6 stuff and everything that come out, and he says, yeah, I could take one of those immunity pins, please. I need the immunity idol. I need to figure out how I can save my buttocks. They know what they've done. Now they are caught. They are caged animals. They have no idea how to get out of this. They are completely screwed. Kash Patel and Pam Bondi will be there on January 20th. And if I were Trump, I'd be like, no deals. None. You're all going to jail. And I'm telling you right now, if this dude is involved, if Benny Thompson, the chairman of the J6 committee, if the chairman is looking for a pardon, if he's looking for a way out, then you know Liz Cheney's involved. No doubt. No doubt whatsoever.
Jack booting down the door to shackle parents who had been at school board meetings, that they took your license plate in there and watched the tape because you're sitting there, you don't want this pervert, bizarro porn forced down your kid's throat in the classroom by some loser with purple spiked hair. Well, that's still a relatively small part. That's what Kash talks about, the big footprint in the interview.
Yes, I am. Sorry. So what I just said, David Harrison, what he said here, he said the IG report reveals there were 26 assets present in the crowd and that this is just the beginning, which it is. It's just the beginning. There is so much to talk about here, which you missed when I was muted because I had to let the dog out while Steve was talking. I said, you got this, the January 6th. You got this, which is the money going over to that island. To Zelensky. Then you got the island. Then you got the kids. And then you have whatever is going on at the border. And those kids. maybe one and the same. There are so many different pieces to this. And so right now, these people are all looking for a way to get out. And what I don't know if you heard it, but what I said was, if this dude is looking for his immunity idol, and he's the chairman, you can bet your butt Liz Cheney is wrapped up in this, and she's about to go down. There's just too much. They can't deal with all of this. And unfortunately for them, you got people like Elon Musk making sure the world knows. See me, I'm small potatoes. I got my little small corner of the world. But this guy is pointing it out that legacy media lies. Again, he's putting the stake in these people's heart and twisting it. Well, what did Leslie Stahl say yesterday? Elon Musk wants us to go away. You're making it easy. All he's doing is exposing you people as scum. You think you're elite and you're scum. You're just the opposite of what you think you are. You're looking in a mirror and you're seeing an image, and it should just show Medusa. People realize now that you're full of crap. And Elon Musk is making sure people know it. He posted this at 2 o'clock. It's already got 2 million views. We are going to take, and I say we collectively, all of us people here who do this kind of stuff are going to let everybody know how much of a piece of crap you people are, and that you keep doing this over and over. And the one thing I want to know, I'm not involved in J6, but I want to know, who is this guy? Who is this guy who was everywhere and he never got arrested? Never. We couldn't even say this dude's name. Do you realize if you said Ray Epps' name, people would freak out? Like, wait a minute, who is he? Is he an FBI agent? Is he sheriff? Who is he? Never got charged. And so now we're hearing why. We're hearing that so many of these people were all part of the big plan. Huge big plan. Disgusting. Doesn't it make you ill at this point? I mean, I wonder what you guys are thinking. Yeah, I'm sorry, I muted. Yep, that's the guy's name. Those of you who don't know who that guy is, that's who he is. He was the one that was telling people, let's go, let's go. So many videos of him doing that, telling people to let's go to the Capitol. He was one of the main agitators. Nothing ever happened to him. You'll catch up. I'm back there now. Let's see, a government agent of some kind. I bet you he is. But nobody had the guts to say who he was. Kash Patel and Bondi will. They will at this point. His wife works for Dominion. I did not know that. All this stuff is going to come out. All this stuff is going to come out. My mic is on. You might have to refresh. It was just off for a second. Let's see here. They're doing it. Elon is just turning up the volume. Yeah, it's all of them. The entirety of what they have done to everybody and lies that they have told. And it wouldn't just be the smugness of the lies. It was the fact that they felt they were better than you, that they were better than everybody else. You know, it's one thing if you got a script and your script said, hey, well, tonight, Donald Trump's an idiot, but you're just reading a script. That's bad enough. But you knew you were lying. You knew you were getting big contracts in the media, huge. Which one of these people really think that they were worth 10, 12, 15 million dollars a year? Worth. What were you doing that made you worth that? Oh, you were doing what you were frickin' told to do. Read that. Say this. Make fun of Trump. Joy Reid must do it every single night. She must just be a court jester at this point, making herself look stupid. I can't believe we let our government get to this point. I'm so glad that we were able to take it back. Now, as I've said to you many times, it's going to take a lot more than 4 years because it took them a lot more than 4 years to put all this stuff in place. And it absolutely needs a wrecking ball approach. Not piece by piece, not precision. Get the sledgehammer and just start knocking things out. Just got to do it. Yep, John, you are correct. And that goes both ways. The dirty Republicans as well. Tear it down. It's going to hurt. It is going to hurt many people. But you got to do it. Yeah, how about the staged entry from the... Yeah, it was all on film. They did that. I knew from the get-go it was a total setup. Now we all know. What's been going on. It's crazy. Let's see here. Justice needs to be meted out. Criminals need to do hard time and perhaps more severe legal punishments. But now you know. Now you know why they've been screaming for so long about, oh, you're not going to go after your political opponents, are you? Because if you go after your political opponents, oh my God, that would be awful. Completely awful. Hold on one second. I'm going to tell you guys a little something. I have to take 1 minute to stop and address parents with something very important. As President Trump prepares for his second term, he said he wants to teach our kids to love our country, reversing radical anti-American rhetoric that our kids are hearing in classrooms across the country. The best place for kids to start is to learn all about President Trump and make his vision to make America great again during his second term. That's why Mike Huckabee's team put together the Kids Guide to President Trump Victory Edition. And to celebrate President Trump's return to the White House, they're giving it away for free. The book is great because it features fun illustrations and content teaching kids all about President Trump's accomplishments and his goals for his second term. Mike Huckabee wants to send your family this free guide so you can teach your kids the truth about President Trump and his mission to make America great again. But please hurry because supplies are limited. You can claim your free Kids Guide to President Trump Victory Edition for your kids right now. See offer details and order your free guide at kidstrumpguide.com. That's kidstrumpguide.com. All right, so I want to let you guys see the 10, as I've been calling it. We're moving on to the 10 at this point, and that way we can close up here. Where is it? Okay, here we go. And 1 second. Let me go ahead and here we go. Sorry.
Here's the big finish. 10 stories that you just gotta hear. Number 10.
What did the president say to you?
So he told me how excited.
President-elect, excuse me.
He told me how excited it was for him to be here. He told me that the country should look forward to big things, and that he's excited about the 4 years ahead of him.
Now, you of course, are a big promoter on the floor. I know you had a Citadel Securities jacket up. What did you do with that? Did you present it to the president?
I did. So I told him, as one of the greatest capitalists this country has ever seen, how could he not visit the New York Stock Exchange without having a Citadel Securities trader jacket?
Number 9.
A nice showing, geographically easy for them to get here.
And just optically, helpful. Jim, sort of a show of force.
So even the people at CNBC, the guy you saw at number 10 is a floor trader, a guy who's, right there in making the trades. When people call in, they're going to buy this or buy that. And we're talking about big buys, not your 1 or 2 stocks. Probably Nancy Pelosi's guy has a direct line with him. And he just was excited. He gave Trump his jacket. They all have to wear special jackets when they're taking these trades, and he gave Trump his jacket. Now CNBC, they're basically saying people from all over wanted to be there today to watch Trump ring the bell and let people know we're open for business.
Of American business.
No, I mean, this is, I have to tell you, I can't, I'm trying to remember when I've seen such an agglomeration of people.
Never. No. I don't think we've ever seen this.
No, and these are people, by the way, all walks of business. This is not tech and it's not financial. I mean, we have Brian Cornell from Target.
So these guys on CNBC who've been there basically forever. I remember talking and doing an interview with Jim Cramer like back in 2012, and I actually had his board with all his sounds in front of me with my radio show, and I'm like, he just said, I've never seen anything like this. Never. All walks, tech, finance, everything. Everybody wanted to be there, all the bigwigs, to see Trump and understand his vision for moving forward. Things are going to be awesome. Absolutely awesome.
Number 8.
Shouldn't Ray have stayed in there for the sake of history? So history.
All right, so you're going to love this. Now knowing what you know, that this this IG report came out today. You had people in the media yesterday. I'm like, well, why'd he quit? Oh, man, he should stay there. Listen to the reason why they say that Christopher Wray should have stayed. Basically, what they're going to say is he should have took one for the team.
You would record that Donald Trump fired 2 FBI directors, unprecedented. One of them, an FBI director that he actually appointed himself.
I think he should have stayed 100%. We were counting on him to. You know, everybody's got to kind of hit the barricades right now and do what's best for the country, not what's best for themselves or what.
Everyone's got to do what's best for the country, not for themselves. I can't believe that Christopher Wray, he was so self-centric that he had to go ahead and bail. And now you find out today, because this was from yesterday, and now you find out today why. He had to bail. He probably going to be lawyering up today. And now you know why. He wasn't going to take one for the team. It's everybody for themselves right now. Oh yeah. You want to be standing when the music stops. And right now, there are a lot of people in government and in the media going, oh man, what the hell do we do?
It's best for an agency. And I thought this was a unique opportunity to have one of those the guardrails of we have so few that at least there would be a continuity there in FBI so things wouldn't go hair.
So they really expected that Chris Wray, knowing everything that he's done, knowing everything that his cohorts have done, was going to sit there and take it for the team. Like I said earlier, these people are so full of themselves, it's not even funny. Yeah, dude, you should just stay there. Keep the continuity. Make sure Trump doesn't. I'm like, hey, man, I got to go save my ass. I know what I've done. I know what these people have done. And yet these people in the media just have this holier-than-thou attitude. You got to take it for the team.
Scare them right after the inauguration, but alas, now Trump's going to get the FBI, and that's, if there is such a thing as a Department of Revenge and Retribution, that's where it's going to be emanating from Kash Patel and the people he brings in. And I think it's unfortunate that Ray couldn't have stayed in maybe 3 months, 6 months in, and then perhaps backed out.
So you really think that Trump was going to keep Chris Wray for 6 months? You don't think on like January 20th at about 12:05, one of those letters would have been just fired out by email. You're done. Pack your crap. You think that he was going to be able to sit around in Trump's administration for 3 to 6 months? Seriously? Are you that stupid? Have you not been following anything? And another thing I want to bring out to these people's attention. When Trump started getting charged in state after state with 72, 9,000 felonies and everything else, did you hear the word retribution, revenge, or anything else then? No. Criminal, convict, go get him, he's dead, blah, blah. There was nothing like that. His political opponent was orchestrating cases across the country against him. Merrick Garland made Jack Smith, illegally, a special counsel to go prosecute Trump. His political opponent was facing retribution from the guy in office. But now all of a sudden, hey man, don't think revenge or retribution. I'm like, how obtuse can you possibly be? Or worse, how obtuse can your entire audience be?
Number 7.
But I think it's an opportunity to have a conversation. I'm not sure why it would be controversial to anybody. If he's the individual who could potentially be the next Secretary of Defense, I think I'm not just the senator for Pennsylvania for my voters or Democrats, it's for all of us. And now we have received a lot of support, calls into our office saying, hey, we want to have a conversation. So I'm just doing my job. I see that.
Who would have thought that John Fetterman would be the voice of reason in the Democrat Party? I mean, seriously. Lurch, Uncle Festus, whatever you want to call him, is the guy who's making sense. Now, I don't think for an instant that he's leaving his progressive ways. No, I think he's still progressive. But I don't think anymore that he's a commie. I think he's a Democrat. I don't think he's a commie. At this point, he's like, I'm going to talk to him. Why wouldn't I talk to him? Hey, I don't think what you're doing is right, what you did to Trump. I mean, he's alienating the nuts. They don't like the fact that he's even showing any form of wanting to, basically extend an olive branch. And I would never have thought that about John Fetterman. I would have thought that John Fetterman would have been like AOC with a bald head. Never would have imagined that he would be somebody who would be using cognitive thought to understand, okay, let's reach across the aisle here. Let's at least try to be civil. And many more of them should see what he's doing and understand this will get you further. But they don't.
6. I know Pete, Major Pete, I call him pretty well, being on Fox and Friends weekend for those many years, sitting on the couch with him, sharing the couch. Been out with him. I thought, as Scott mentions, that he was on the ropes for a lot of the stuff coming up that none of us had ever heard of before because of non-disclosures and so forth. But then Pete did something. Major Pete did something that I think is the difference between a combat veteran and the rest of the world. What Pete did was go to his combat brothers, and it was they who started speaking on his behalf, talking about his courage, talking about how he earned those 2 Bronze Stars, how he never allowed his men to get in front of him in a hot zone. And I think that's what the Defense Department needs. That's what the Pentagon needs. And I think that realization swept subtly, but I think with growing momentum through Washington, D.C., that if you haven't served the country in combat, then shut up. Or, you better respect.
I mean,
I would never have guessed that Geraldo would be an advocate for Pete Hegseth. Never would have thought that. And, he switched networks. Now he's on CNN. And basically, the pieces just move around. It's the same people on all these networks. Have you noticed that? It's pretty much the same people. Now they've got Gretchen Carlson on CNN. You may not even know who she is. But they're just moving around and playing roles. It's the same people. But at least Geraldo is like, you know what? Nah, he's not a bad guy. I've known Pete. And I think what even stuck out for Pete more was that how many of these warriors stood behind him. Not media, not politicians, guys in the foxhole. Guys that he fought with. Guys whose lives depended upon Pete Hegseth. And he depended on those guys. These are the people that if you talk to them, you're like, yeah, this guy's got the goods. Not some politician, not Lisa Murkowski, not Susan Collins, not Joni Ernst. These are the guys who saw what this man is made of. I don't care that he did a horizontal bop with some chicks. I don't care if he had a few drinks when he came back from combat. I want to know what kind of guy he is today. And the people who know him today Don't question his ability to run military. The idiots out there want to question whether or not he's doing stuff with women. That's over, because you know what? Guys do stuff with women. Sometimes they do lots of stuff with women. But it has nothing to do with their job. Well, Barry, it's his character. He's a womanizer. Come on, man. Be better. Be a lot better than that. The story is the woman went to his room, knocked on the door, did the do, cheated on her husband, and then went away. And the other stuff that they made up, they have no face to the allegation. So if there's no face to the allegation, there should be no allegation.
5. We got 2 new revelations from the Trump Assassination Task Force. According to their report, the Secret Service agent
You
spotted Ryan.
You are not going to believe this. Dan Bongino, I don't know if he covered it, but if Dan heard this, he probably was screaming, absolutely screaming at his camera when you hear this. I can't even believe it. Is DEI so entrenched in these different agencies that this had to happen? Listen to this.
Ryan Ruth in the bushes outside Trump's golf course was only 5 feet away when he opened fire and missed him.
Those of you who've got pew-pews, you're looking at a target 5 feet away, you pop off 5 or 6 shots, and you can't hit a target 5 feet away. Just understand where 5 feet are. Take your arm, and most of us have, probably 2.5 arms length, and you're 5 feet away from your other hand. I knew mine because I play football. I have a 6-foot wingspan. So right now, I know in my wingspan, it's this hand trying to shoot this hand. Just do this. Put your arms up and put both of your hands up, like this. And that's how far away those 2 hands were shooting at each other. From 5 feet away, he missed all of his shots.
Not once, not twice, 6 times. He missed him 6 times from 5 feet. How does...
It's not funny. It's funny, but it's not funny. Number one, I wouldn't have admitted that. I would have said I lost my bullets or something. I would not have put that in my report. So, Officer Williams, what happened? Oh, I took 5 shots at him, 6 shots at him, and I missed. Okay. How far away was he? About 5 feet. 1, you're fired. You gotta go. You're done. Number 2, you guys don't know this because you don't live down here, but it's not like that golf course is in the middle of the woods somewhere. It's right by a major roadway. So you're firing these bullets and they're flying across the street. God, how lucky is it that somebody across the street didn't get plugged? I mean, literally, if you pulled it up on a map, you could see where this golf course is, and there's stores behind it and things of that nature. And where this guy was, they were firing towards the population. They weren't firing into the golf course where there's no people. They were firing, he was on the outside, he was firing towards the guy on the outside of the fence, who there's a road right behind it. So you tell me, what kind of people we have in the Secret Service? Dan Bongino, I wish I was talking to you right now. You have to tell me. You're like, how in the hell, with your 9mm, you miss somebody that close? I would venture to say and tell you, those of you who don't shoot, that it would be harder. You would almost have to try and miss somebody, which might be the case. I mean, literally, you would have to go ahead and put like a garbage can 5 feet away, or slender a Slim Jim. Put a slender garbage can 5 feet away and aim your gun, and tell me if you could miss every single shot at somebody who's not firing back at you. It's not like you're dodging fire and going, like you see on TV. No, the other guy didn't get a shot off. So you had pop, and you missed them all. How? Somebody's like Elmer Fudd. Deliberately miss. You can make yourself hard to hit, but you're saying that the person who's making himself hard to hit would have to be trained. We're not talking about a trained operative. He wasn't some guy, it wasn't an asset. This isn't the Bourne Identity. This is some idiot who was trying to, do something. And you pretty much caught him by surprise. You rolled up and went, hey, pop, 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 pop. Well, actually, one hand, pop, pop, pop. Maybe this way. You couldn't hit him. Well, I shot a 9mm this summer. I have big hands. I couldn't hit my target or hardly hold the weapon at 10 feet. I just remembered that. 10 feet. Well, that's double. So we're going to give you a pass. We're not going to talk bad about you. That's 10 feet. But nonetheless, here's the other thing. With what you just said, I have big hands. I couldn't hit my target. Okay, you know what? But you're not a Secret Service agent. You're not someone whose job it is to be able to hit this target. You're like me. We go to the range. You're just a guy. You're not a Secret Service agent who understands lethality, and you understand you may have to do something, and you miss. I have no idea how he got 6 shots off. He probably took lessons from Dick Cheney. Oh my God, this is crazy. There's some fool that was all bark and no bite. He got into the agency. That's the guy in the ground was Neo. Oh, you guys are funny. You hear these stories and you realize now that Trump was guarded by the Keystone Cops. The people in Butler, this guy at the golf course, it is truly by the grace of God that this man is alive. When I hear these stories, I'm like, oh man. Oh my God. I got to send an email, something. Hey, Dan Bongino, explain this to me. You're the only guy I know close enough to the Secret Service. How in the hell is this even possible?
A trained agent who passed the firearms test missed a target away, 5 feet away. That's not all. The report says the Secret Service found out at 2:30 in the morning that Trump would be golfing later that day, but they didn't secure the course, allowing Ruth to camp out for 12 hours before anyone saw him.
I can't accuse these people. I don't know them. And I would be bad to point at somebody and go, you wanted this to happen. So I can't do that. But what I can say is, oh my God, are you people incompetent? Because I won't go the other way. I have no evidence whatsoever that says you intentionally wanted this to happen. Nope. I can't say that. But I obviously have evidence to go, oh, you guys shouldn't even be bagging groceries at Whole Foods. Yeah, the incompetence level of what we saw in Butler, followed up by this dude, and you're telling me, and I remember when this came out, and I'm like, I've gone past this golf course. You or me, I've done events, I've done many concerts. When you look at the layout of this thing, you'd be like, okay, make sure the perimeter here with these bushes is secure, that some guy's not laying in the grass for 12 hours. There's nobody. I know if I go to the mall down the street, Paul the mall cop has got the golf cart, and you have to check in every 20 minutes as you're doing your rounds. You got to scan something. So you're telling me this guy shows up, drives up next to the golf course, says, you know what, let me synchronize my watch. Trump's not due here until, 12 hours from now. how he knows that. Let's not go there. But he knows that Trump's going to show up at 12 hours. Okay, I got my watch synchronized. I got my can of Vienna sausages, and I got some Diet Coke here. I'm good for the evening. Let me go ahead and sleep here. And you're telling me nobody walked that fence line, that hedge line. Nobody with the Secret Service said, you know what? Hey, Fred, yeah, I'm going to go make a rounds right now. Okay, go ahead. That's what they want you to believe.
Meanwhile, Ruth appeared in federal court this morning, and his legal team signaling they're going to go with the insanity defense. How convenient. Ruth's public defender said he has had multiple meetings with a mental health expert while in jail, and the witnesses who saw him before the arrest say he was hallucinating and delusional. Of course. Prosecutors also revealed that Ruth has been doing a lot more writing behind bars than initially reported. Ruth has written nearly 40 letters to news outlets in an attempt to persuade them that he's an honorable guy. But they were intercepted before they...
So he wrote 40 letters to the media, and they're all intercepted, and we've seen none. Why is that? Why have we not seen a single thing that this guy has written? Is it some sort of national secret? This guy wants to talk. He wants to get the word out. As crazy as you may think he is, why do we not know what exactly is he writing? I mean, I would expect that they would be intercepted, but why can't we know what he's saying?
Reach their targets. We also know that only 17 of the 18 cell phones found in Ruth's possession belong to him. Why does he have 18 cell phones? And wait, he has 17, so who owns the last phone?
I have two. I will admit I have two cell phones. Here they are. Two cell phones. Two cell phones. 18 cell phones. That's a lot of data. Who has he been talking to? Who has he been texting? Who sent him pictures? How did he know where to go? Oh, that's right, we don't know. And we still don't know who the guy that was crawling around in Butler, who he was talking to as of today. Somebody knows. Maybe he was talking to the people flying the drones in New Jersey.
And why did Ruth have it?
Number 4.
And just talk to us about what sort of impact the president-elect has had on the shape of U.S. politics this year alone.
Sorry about that. Forgot to make this one bigger. But anyway, this is Scott Jennings on CNN, and they're frothing at the mouth because their problem is, how could Trump be named Person of the Year? What has he done? They actually said that. What has Trump done to win Person of the Year? We shouldn't be giving it to him. And Scott's about to school these people. Sorry that it's tiny.
Well, first of all, it's the greatest comeback story in American political history. I mean, when you think about all the things you just listed that he survived, from the political stuff to the lawfare to the assassination attempts to the Democrats changing out their campaign, when you think about all the unprecedented stuff that he had to survive in order to come back from losing in 2020 to winning not just the Electoral College, but the popular vote in 2024. There's never been anything like it. One of the superpowers of Donald Trump is that he's the breaker of narratives. And there were always narratives around him that he could never win the election, that the case in New York was going to bring him down, that, this or that was going to be the thing that finally brought down Donald Trump, or that Kamala Harris was the greatest presidential candidate we've ever seen, and so on and so forth. Trump is the breaker of narratives, and I think he exposed really the political information distribution complex in this election for what it is, which is often a distributor of narratives and not facts. And a lot of people came out and supported Donald Trump because they felt like they were being lied to by the current administration. They had a real mistrust of the policies that had been instituted. They were upset about the economy. The border was, and I think he's right, the border was really on people's minds for all of the societal impacts of that. And he broke all of the narratives around it that was coming out of the media and coming out of the Democrats and won this huge victory. I think it's earth-shattering what he did, not just for politics, but the way we as Americans receive and process our political information. He kind of bypassed, in some ways, the mainstream media and went right to these alternative media sources, and it turns out his entire strategy around that was correct.
All right, so in these next two clips, I wanted to dovetail off of what Scott Jennings just said. See, the media, as I've said many times, it's becoming my catchphrase that these people are still arguing as though it's November 3rd and November 4th. They don't understand what happened to them. In fact, if you knew what happened to you on November 5th, you wouldn't be on these television stations. You at this point would actually be working very hard to understand how you can become a part of the new media. You wouldn't be on CNN. You wouldn't be on any of these shows. If you thought you had the goods, and after what you saw on November 5th, you would say, hey, I need to go online to Amazon. I need to buy myself some camera. I need to buy myself some lights and a microphone and understand this is what is needed moving forward. If you're still on CNN, especially some of these people who call themselves contributors, I'm not talking about the hosts. When you look at these panels and there's 4 people, 5 people sitting there, nobody gives a crap what you have to say. Most of the people don't even know you. You have no hand. You're just there. You're furniture on a set. And nobody cares what you have to say. How do I know that? We just saw what happened on November 5th. None of these people have audiences. And it's funny because the people who are recognizing this, thankfully, are being shunned by the Democrat Party because they're letting them know this ain't going to work anymore.
Number 3. And I'm telling you, we are way off. The entire political class is way off. First of all, digital is a new door knocking. Mm-hmm. You got to understand that. We were laughing.
So look at that. That's a whole panel of people in the media. And all of them are on different networks and different things there. And Van Jones, who, you know, he is who he is trying to let him know, you're done. You're on a spit. They're turning you. You're not dead yet, but you're cooked. It's over. It's never going back. You have lied to the American people so much that at this point they don't want to hear what you have to say. Even today, when all this stuff comes up about the January 6th stuff, they're still lying. They will be lying at 6 o'clock. They will be lying at 7 o'clock all night long on MSNBC, CNN. All they will do is lie about what just came out. And they just cannot get themselves into the mindset of everything I'm doing, everything I've been supposedly trained for. I'm a journalist. And Van's telling them.
Our butts off at Donald Trump for suspending his door-knocking campaign and letting Charlie Kirk and Elon do a bunch of stuff online. We said, these guys are idiots. These guys are stupid. Then you start knocking on these doors. You know what people come to the door with? Their phone in their hand. They're in a 24-hour digital surround sound that has nothing to do with CNN, has nothing to do with any stuff that we do. I got a teenage son. I asked him, who are the most influential people in the world today? I'm thinking to myself, he's going to say Barack Obama, Oprah Winfrey, Jay-Z.
Wait, the lady sitting next to him don't want to hear it. They don't even want to hear this messaging. Their self-awareness is so bad, they think they are the most important. He's telling them they don't even care about Barack Obama.
He says, Kai sent.
And see, he doesn't even know who these people are. I believe him here because that's not the guy's name. Kai sent. That's not who he is. You guys can look up and you'll see it's Kai Cenat. But anyway, continue.
Aiden Ross, Jinxie, and Sketch. I don't know who he's talking about. I said, what platforms are you on? He goes, I'm on Twitch, Kick, and Rumble. I said, that sounds like you need to go to the hospital. What are these platforms? I'm telling you guys, the mainstream has become fringe, and the fringe has become mainstream. There are platforms, there are people out there that are getting 14 million streams, and we're on cable news getting 1 or 2 million.
No. Nope. They're getting 14 million. Cable's getting like a couple 100,000. Come on, man. You got to tell the right math. Had to call you on that.
And so there is a whole world out there. Kellyanne Conway, I hate to agree with her, but I do a lot of times. Donald Trump understood that and we didn't. And it's not just Democrats that don't. The entire political class is way off.
Number.
And the problem for them is that they have no way to fix it. As you saw the lady sitting next to him, I don't even know what network she's on, and they just look so uncomfortable. You see, because going into a broadcast studio, everything's done for you. You already know what you're going to talk about. You don't have to do anything. It's all given. You're going to talk about this today. So we're going to talk about Pete Hegseth and his girlfriends. And here's what we want you to say. And we're going to bring on a liberal, and we're going to bring on a Republican, and you guys can joust for the fun of it. And then afterwards, go down to Starbucks and have a coffee together. It's all fake. It's all fake. How do you know this? Because of what this next guy says. Listen to this next guy, and you realize right away, these people are completely lost.
2.
Now, if they wanted to make someone Person of the Year, they would have made someone who, and my God, I'm sure he loves this, right? If they wanted to make someone Person of the Year, I don't know, they could have done it with any person. People, they could have done it to someone who actually stood for democracy, who stands for democracy in the country.
He's not even on the air anymore. His podcast failed. And he's, over the next 30 seconds or whatever it is, you're going to hear him spew all of the normal BS that he would spew on CNN.
Now you think about what encompasses Person of the Year. Just because you are elected President of the United States does not mean that you should be Person of the Year. What Time Magazine, what are you doing? Let me ask you, Time Magazine. What do you say to the women who, I guess, still read Time Magazine? Or the women who don't they do like a whole Time 100 thing or something, which, what about the women who are on that list? What about that? I'm sure some of them will had dealt with issues that women have to deal with, like discrimination in the workplace, SA, all kinds of things. You have someone on the cover of your magazine who is an adjudicated assaulter. You have someone who inspired an insurrection. You have someone who...
He inspired an insurrection. Really? You see? They can't... It's not like it's just at CNN. It's not just MSNBC. These people that they brought onto these television stations cannot get their minds around what's happened and what's happening in this world. It's almost as though God has indeed put scales on their eyes. You're out of it. You're not even in CNN studios anymore. But you can't even fathom that the American people don't want what you're selling. Again, this is another reason why I say these people will not win anything substantive for quite some time. Because up here, it's still November 3rd. You're still fighting the 34 felonies, convictions, insurrections, essays. Dude, that's over. That's yesterday's news. But they can't do it, or they won't.
Without a doubt, the evidence is there. Try to overturn a free and fair election.
See? They really, really, really believe this stuff. And the more you hear them, or the more, I watch them, so you don't have to, the more you realize that your opponent cannot fix themselves. They are so used to lying. They may be so brainwashed. They may be so liberal they don't understand. He can't even comprehend. How in the hell did you people make him Person of the Year? How did you people vote for him? What the hell did you do? It doesn't compute. Does not compute whatsoever. And so they are stunned. They continue to be stunned. A month later. And they're still wondering, how is this possibly happening. If you can't change, like Van Jones was telling them, if y'all don't change, there's no way back. Yeah, people are listening to people like Benny and Patrick McDavid and Dan Bongino, and thank you for listening to me as well. There is no way this guy sitting in Boca should be getting more viewership than people on NBC, CBS, and CNN, and blah, blah, blah. You guys can't even outrank the Food Network. Nobody wants what you're selling, and they can't change.
You had someone who had multiple criminal counts and found guilty on multiple criminal counts. And you name them Person of the Year? Is this a joke? Did we get something wrong? Did someone scam us? Are we sure about this, producers? There is a convicted felon on the cover of Time magazine as the Person of the Year. Maybe we're being scammed. Did someone put out a fake tweet or something about this?
I rest my case. I rest my case. These people are not going to be competitive moving forward. If Trump does everything he set out to do, if he makes the economy better, if he makes it safer. I just got a text from SV, one of the mods here. Somebody just posted and said, my wife just texted me that the police have blocked both ends of the road behind our house and TV camera crews are swarming that a drone may have just crashed back there. If Trump can keep us safe, we can find out what this craziness that's going on. I don't know how they could possibly win. And for those of you right now on December 12th, I just have one message for you. Many of you probably have already done this, but if you haven't and you're trying to extricate yourself from these nuts like Don Lemon and Joy Reid and all the rest of them, I want you to enjoy this Christmas season, this Hanukkah season. I want you to feel comfortable and truly be at peace and understand everything we're seeing from assassination attempts that went bad, the J6 people who went to jail because your government lied to you, from the media that continues to keep you like a mushroom in the dark and poop on you. There is a way for you to see clearly. And I want you to have a very Merry Christmas and a happy holiday season. And this is the way.
But you see, when you invite Christ into your heart, the Holy Spirit comes into your life. And he gives you the strength and the ability to change. He begins to work in you. He begins to change you. You can't do it on your own. It's impossible. But that's what the Holy Spirit of God does. So tonight, if you are willing to repent and turn from your sins and believe on the name of the Lord Jesus Christ, you'll be saved. You'll be forgiven.
I'm not a preacher. I don't pretend to be a preacher, but there's been so many things this last week that have just troubled me. Things that just literally just said, Barry, what is going on? None more troubling than this story that's going around. It's not a story, it's actually happened, that this woman, young girl, who decided she was going to basically bed down with 100 guys in one night, who filmed the entire thing, who then had to go to the doctor because she had infections in her eyes because of all the secretions. And I sat back and listened. That's somebody's daughter. That's somebody's granddaughter who felt it was okay to try and have 100 conquests in one night. And when I saw that, and I realized all this other stuff is a distraction, because there are some really, really, really lost people out there. We're in a holiday season. Trump won the election. Things are going to be okay. January 20th, he gets in office. But there's going to be a lot of people, the Don Lemons, the Joy Reids, the woman who decided she wanted to bed down with 100 guys and now she can't understand what she did and that she now wants to try 1,000 in 24 hours. there's something wrong out there. There is definitely something just not right in the world. And I just feel I'm reading this and I'm seeing this and I'm like, man, it's Christmas. This is when everyone should be full of joy. This is when we all should be sitting back and understanding we got family and friends. And if you don't have family and friends around you, understand we're just a chat here. And there's plenty of people right here. Reach out to somebody. If you need someone to talk to, send me an email. Send Ashley an email. Send one of the mods. Hey, listen, I just would like to just go on and may have a call or something. But don't think you have to do stuff or deal with people who want to lie to you and do not have your best interest at heart, who want to put 1,500 Americans in jail because of the political aspect and whatever they were trying to do, and they're going to get pardons. They're going to get out of jail free. But the scars of what they left behind, you got people like Don Lemon, whose mind is toast. Joy Reid, toast. This woman, toasted of the toasted. Makes no sense. You're a pretty little girl. You didn't need that. Now, no one's going to touch you. It's all over the internet. Imagine what her life is going to be like when people see this and like, she did what? I hope that she can turn it around by turning to God and have someone in her life that can say, you know what, I made a mistake and let's fix this. And I'm not judging anybody. I'm just saying it's Christmas. And there's so much craziness going on. I hope you find peace. Wherever you are, whatever you're doing, whatever your life is like right now, I pray for you and I hope you find peace. That's all I was going to say about that. But whew, what a story that was. What a story. Okay, let's see here. If you'd like to join our X group, go to fanfareshop.org/group. By the time you click on there, we probably will be at 12,000 people. Pretty awesome. Love you guys for that. 12,000 right around the corner. And if you'd like to win a hoodie, we're going to be giving out 3 tonight at the 7:30 show. Go to fanfareshop.org and you can register to win a hoodie. All right. Let's hear. Thanks, SV. Thank you very much for that. Every time I hear stuff like that, the image of Moses comes down with the mountain with the tablets of the 10 Commandments on it. Yeah. So yeah. Thank you, God. Please help her. Please help a lot of these people. A lot of these people. She was crying out for help. Somebody should step in and help her. Just to let you know, the 7:30 show, usually I have to take the little doggy out here for a walk, and then I've got to feed him and feed me and then kiss the wife and take the other dog and spend some time before I get back to 7:30. I'm like, well, it's 6 o'clock already. I got to hurry up and do all this stuff. 7:30 show is already done. In case you don't know, Joe Biden did something really stupid, or somebody using Joe Biden's signature stamp did something really stupid today. And it's only the first time. Just to let you know, it's the first time, actually second, he pardoned Hunter. And then today he made the most amount of pardons / commutations in presidential history. And I'm thinking to myself, oh, this is going to get crazy. Absolutely crazy. All right. So may God bless everyone around the world. Yes, thank you for that. That's very, very good. Feminism destroyed a lot of females, or feminism that they think is feminism. You know, that's not going to go there, but you know what I mean. You know what I mean. You always go over it above. We'll give you a break. All right, so let me go ahead and look at the super chats if there are any sitting there. Okay, so we got I am Cianon. Merry Christmas. All my pronouns are MAGA and Ma. I love that. Danny Morris, the Secret Service agent missed on purpose. Another cover-up? Possibly. I don't know how you would miss somebody from a trained Secret Service agent missing somebody 5 feet away. Barry can't tell you how I know this, but the government can shut down cell service in areas. Yeah, I know that. Yep, I'm pretty yep. Confident they can shut down a lot of stuff. Seen it happen here. Born on the 4th, the lamestream media refused to accept that they are FUBAR. They're lying to us and themselves. Yeah, that's all they have. And each other. F. Joe Biden, I'm sorry that should have said, why is Trump not speaking about these drones? Good question. Good question. I don't know. I don't have the answer for that, and so I don't know why he's not. I could suppose. We can talk about that. Mega Troop, the lamestream media keeps skating to where the puck was. Yep, he likes my old slogan here. Just another knucklehead. Wasn't Hitler the man of the year on Time cover? Yep, yes he was. Yes he was. See, that's another thing Don Lemon didn't realize is that it doesn't mean, I think underhandedly they may have been saying something. It's not always a good award. Just another knucklehead. No. The guy was concealed. Probably not all at the gun. It was sticking through the fence. They kind of sucked out. Sandra J.G. Thompson. Perry, let's be honest here. God has heard the prayers of so many of us. We need to thank him. His timing is always perfect. Well said. Well said. Just another knucklehead again. Tip Shower, thanks for dropping all this junk on us. I am really shocked by the insidiousness of the Dems. I didn't mean to drop junk on you, bro. Miss Fabulous, have you seen Candace Owens' interview with a veteran survivor of the Liberty? Makes me question the U.S.-Israel relationship. No, I have not seen that. I will take a look at it. Okay. Grandma Lynn, if you don't have sound, refresh your screen. Yes, do that. I'm sorry. Sometimes I don't know where he just went. But when he starts making noise, I don't like it to go through the microphone. Izzy Emp, I'm with the PBS. Didn't go to J6. I knew it was a setup. Yep, it was. I can't. And this is just the first report to drop. Wait till more stuff comes out. Demon of Cybertron. So Bill is saying that those emails were real. What Cybertron is referring to is Bill Clinton said that Hillary should get a pardon. Great hat, B. Oh, thank you. I didn't want to wear a black hat with a dark blue shirt, so I had to grab this one. Thank you. Danny Morris, thank you. Thank you very much. Peter Cruz. Just another knucklehead again. Dems are all criminal. I'm getting a little sick to my stomach. I concur. Barry, thank you, Mike. Barry, you and your wife have a very Merry Christmas. Yep, we're going to be up in North Carolina. Seeing Ashley. Robert Vasquez in Idaho. So schools always run overrides, do supplemental levies to fund the schools. So where does the lottery money disappear to? Good question. Down here, it does get to the schools, but I don't know what they're doing up there. Paddlefoot is a treason charge ineligible for a presidential pardon. I don't think many of these people, even if they get charged, are going to get charged with treason simply because of that. And it's a high charge to prove. Tommy Ratcliffe, Ray is running away from justice. Many of them will. Watch out. Watch the airports. The best Christmas gift from Chad Nordstrom. The best Christmas gift, 4 years of accountability for these lib freaks that voted for Joe and Kamala to watch their psyop brainwashed minds face the truth. So very true. So very true. Let's see here. Oh, somebody said I did call. I called yesterday to Lear Capital, and they will work with you over the phone. Small purchase online. Yep, it's not as good of a deal, but you can buy smaller. This is another one. I like this. The NEA, National Association for the Teachers, and National Education Association, the union takes teachers' paycheck money whether or not you're a member or not. That's crazy. That is absolutely nuts. Mark of reality. Don't tell Eric I said it, but Laura Trump is hot. James Iowa. Very long time podcast watcher, first time donor. Thank you. You're the best. Thank you very much. Please start a Doge list. That would be interesting. I could start a Doge list online and we can all decide what we want to see cut out. Education would definitely be one of those for sure. F. Joe Biden says, it's also amazing how everybody forgets about Joe Biden having a transmission party at the White House. I remember it. I remember that. I remember the guy who was holding his. I don't even want to go there. It's this disgusting. All right, see you at 7:30, and we'll talk about what Joe Biden did today.